don't know about you, but I've been thinking a lot about my routine and my schedule starting in this new year. This is when I think a lot of us do think about it. I have been doing some deep searching throughout my schedule, and I realize I have no routine. And I don't think I've had a routine since my son left for college. So I was doing some digging around, and out of the blue, I saw a post on LinkedIn about the perfect planner. And I started reading about it, and lo and behold, Cheri Kuhn, right here in our own valley, developed the perfect planner. And I thought, excellent, I'll have her on the show, and she can give me some tips and the viewers some tips about getting our act together. Thank you so much for being here, Cheri.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa.
I was so excited to see that you're right here in the valley. And I know I've heard about the perfect planner, but I just, I finally made that connection. So tell us a little bit about what you do that led to the perfect planner, which we'll talk about in detail.
Perfect. So yes, I am a professional EOS implementer, which is just a fancy way of saying that I work with leadership teams of entrepreneurial run companies to help them get better at three things that we call vision, traction, healthy, which is all built into your planner, at least the first two. Vision just means helping you to get all on the same page with your vision and plan. Traction just means making you better at discipline and accountability so that you're executing, to that vision and plan. And then healthy just means helping you to become a better, more cohesive, open and honest, healthy leadership team. If you've ever worked with especially high-level leadership teams, a lot of times there's a lot of strong personalities there, and they don't always work well together as a team. So that's what we do, try to get everybody rowing in the same direction. And if we can make that happen at the leadership team, eventually we push that down and you get your entire organization so that everybody is aligned and executing on your vision and plan, working better together. And that is what drove me. And basically my planner is that for your life and as an individual.
Here is this beautiful planner. I chose the rose gold,
and then teal. And then of course we have black because you can't go wrong with basic black, right? Everybody needs to have a little basic black.
So what I decided to do for today's show, I think we're going to spend the majority of the time really kind of diving into this planner and letting people know what it is you get and why it's important to have it. I am someone who puts everything in my phone. Mm-hmm. And what I'm finding is when I opened up your planner and I saw, first of all, a lot of words. I saw a lot of words. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was intrigued, right? Because how many planners do you open up and have them explain why this planner is important? And then I saw a lot of blank spaces that I'm supposed to fill in. And so I thought, okay, so for the person who's ordering your planner, let's just start from the beginning, maybe the why of how this planner came together, and then we'll get to the how it works.
And then I walk you through it. Perfect. So really, like most things, right, necessity is the mother of invention. And I'd been using something some of you are familiar with, the Passion Planner. And the Passion Planner worked all right. I really loved kind of some of the stuff at the beginning, and the layout for the most part worked okay, but it was lacking in some areas. And so I was having to kind of piece things together or add my own things and pages and have a second document or space to kind of do things, because in EOS, we run everything on a quarter, right? Everything we reset every 90 days, we reflect every 90 days. So you're executing every 90 days towards your vision and plan. And it just works really well. And so I had been doing that in my life. And then about 3 years ago, the Passion Planner stopped making their full size, right? 8.5 by 11 planner, and it only sold a smaller one. And I thought, well, I can't read that or right in that space. These eyes, I can't do that. And I was very frustrated. And I thought, well, now's the time I can go out there and finally find a planner that runs in quarters, that does all these things that I needed to do. I'd just been lazy and hadn't wanted to do the research. And I'm not kidding you. I dug and looked and Googled. There was not a single planner out there that was full size, that worked in quarters, that gave me the space without giving me so much space where every day was a 2-page layout. So an entire planner thicker than the one that I have was only 1/4, right? So there just wasn't that happy medium, because believe me, I didn't have the time to invent a planner. But in my mind, in my ignorance, and in my arrogance, ignorance and arrogance, not a good combination. I thought, oh, how hard can that be? Oh, because in my head, I kind of had an idea about what I thought that would look like. Well, stuff that's in your head to actually get it to come into fruition, holy cow, that was a lot of work, Lisa. Like such a way bigger project than I had thought it was going to be. But by the time I realized that, I was way too far down that path. And I had put too much time and energy. I had done some beta testing, and I found myself a graphic designer thanks to Upwork. And because of my background, I was the CEO at Orchard Corset for several years. I actually knew how to outsource manufacturing. So I knew how to do all of that. That was a skill set I had in my back pocket, or I don't think this would have been possible. And I had some really great friends that helped me a lot, in particular, Amy Lewis, who was my confidant and sidekick and helping me with the stuff I can't do, all the techie stuff, website and things like that. So it definitely was not a solo project to get this off the ground. And but it was, when it finally came together, it was exciting. I also had to get permission from EOS Worldwide to go to print. There's quite a bit of that in the beginning, and when we start to walk through it, you'll see where that fits in. So
well, let's
year now.
This is the thing about anything that comes from necessity. And you start right off with your story and the inspirations behind your story and getting it done. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll just start from where you think it's important. The person, your client, your customer who opens this for the first time, what they need to know to, for one, not to feel overwhelmed.
Right.
And for two, to really use its efficiency. I mean, it's supposed to make your life more efficient. So
exactly.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're here with Cheri Kuhn, and she is the creator of the Perfect Planner. We'll be back in just a moment. We're here back talking with Cheri Kuhn. She's the creator of the Perfect Planner. I received my copy in the mail. Thanks for saying it to me, Cheri. And we're just going to kind of go through and explain to the viewer. We understand that you are not able to see every page, so we're not going to leave you out of the discussion by not seeing the pages. We can cover it by having a discussion. So that's our goal, is to include you in the discussion, but also let you know what you'd be getting from the Perfect Planner. So where should we start, Cheri? You tell me, because you're the one who is the expert in this field.
And everybody's a little bit different. I don't know if you're familiar with Colby, which is, kind of how you tend to act. Like, I'm a high fact finder. Some people are just high follow through. Some are high quick starts, and they tend to, their mode of operation is any one of those. So depending on who you are, some of you are going to want to read from cover to cover. There is quite a bit of content at the beginning. But if you just want to jump in and just get going, because it's already January 5th, and you're thinking, man, I got to get this year started. If I'm going to start planning, I don't have time for all of this stuff at the beginning. I would go first. There's a pro tips page that looks, kind of like this. Woo, can you see that right here?
Sure.
Next to the, and there's just some nuts and bolts there that I would recommend you just kind of read through those. It'll help you a little bit with some of the definitions for what we mean by a SMART goal, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, and just some other little tips and tricks to help maximize some of this. And then the very first thing that I recommend everybody do is there's that brainstorm page that sits right next to that. And we ask you to set a timer for 10 minutes. And there's a reason that we have you set a timer. If you don't set a timer, there's no sense of urgency. And you just sit there staring at that blank page, twiddling your thumbs, thinking you've got all the time in the world to do this. I used another planner once that set the timer for 5 minutes. For me, that was about enough time, but when I would do this in groups, for some people that are a little bit more process oriented or write slower, they just absolutely couldn't get through that in 5 minutes. So 10 minutes gives you plenty of time, but not too much time. I also encourage people, this is the only place in the whole planner where I will tell you, don't worry about what's realistic. Don't have any limitations on this page.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
you're not watering down what it is you think you can accomplish, and
right.
It can be lofty, and then you get into real life and you go, okay, let's look at time and priorities. And then maybe that list changes, but if you leave it off completely, then you
we'll talk about where reality comes in on the next page. This page, I don't want reality, because I just want you to put everything out there, right. Every little hope, wish, and dream. And for some people, it helps if you have a little bit of wine first. I first started this with my 2 accountability partners that I've had now for 5 or 6 years, and we had a wine, chocolate, and goal setting night, yeah. Right? And that's where we first kind of did this even before I had the planner. And so it really does help you to get it all out. When I work with a leadership team and we're setting those long-term plans, you've got several people in the room to help feed off each other. And unless you are having a lot of different voices inside your head talking to one another, you don't get that same opportunity as an individual trying to do this on your own. So that's why I say just let it all go. Whatever you need to do to loosen that up for yourself. If you have a partner, a spouse, I also always encourage you to, if they don't have their own planner, make a copy of this page and sit separately, but set a timer and you both go. And it's super interesting then to compare notes to see, well, do we have the same longer and short-term plans or the same timelines for when those plans are going to happen? Because on this page, we've got a 3-month, a 1-year, a 3-year, and then what I call kind of your long-term. So this is like 5 to 15 years out. You decide, what does that long-term look like for you? And then you just start writing. And Lisa, what's fun, I've facilitated this for fun for groups of people throughout Wenatchee over the last couple of years. And it's really funny to watch how different people process. Some people need to fill out everything in the 3-month and then they move to the 1 year. You know, they have to do one section at a time. And other people, like myself, as soon as an idea pops in, I put it where I think it fits. One is not better than the other.
Right. There's not a right or wrong way to fill it in.
There's not a right or wrong.
The point is filling it in.
Filling it in. And just a little pro tip for all of you, I have a video for every one of these pages. Mm-hmm. So we've got a YouTube channel and you can go out there and I take a deep dive on every page with a video explanation to kind of help.
Oh, that's very helpful.
Most out of this content.
Helpful. That's something that I would do because I'm visual.
Right.
So, but I also like words help me as well. So if I could have someone walking me through the pages and understanding what's the best way to use this. And I see your
some of the
page here. Yeah.
Yeah. The nuances.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of our, let's get everything out on the table for our lives. What do we want our lives to look like? Then we make it real. So if you turn the page in your planner from there, we've got those sections that we just kind of put together there on that graph on the brainstorming page, chunked out. So we start off with your however many years from now, that long term, whether that's a 10-year, a 5-year, a 15-year, whatever that looks like for you. What is that? Circle, I actually ask you to go back and circle now the things in the long term and the 3-year that are the game changers for you. Which one of these things not only are going to be the most impactful, but you think make the most sense for you? Here's where we're going to start thinking about reality. And the reason I didn't want you to talk about reality first is you might leave something out that is realistic because you just hadn't thought about it, right? Don't sell yourself short, as you talked about. We can all achieve a lot more than we think we can if we actually learn to focus and harness our time and energy and effort into those things that matter to us most.
What I'm loving about this too is that if you do some of the work in the beginning as you receive this planner, whether you watch the YouTube channel and the descriptions for each page, or you set a goal to read all the way through it, planners aren't just about being busy and making your life more, like filling in those times. I mean, I'm trying
to be less busy.
Right.
Actually,
when I was younger,
and more productive.
My first planner, I remember thinking, oh, I got to fill in every line. I was in college and just thought, oh, it's cool to be busy. I don't think it's cool to be busy anymore. I feel it's cool to be efficient.
It's cool to be productive.
Right.
Right. By being less busy.
Exactly. So I think that's what this does, is it right away you get a sense, this feeling that I have a purpose for this month, this quarter, this year, this decade. And it really helps break it down for you. So the next part, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, let's get to what people can expect once they're really engaged using the planner, and what outcomes you hope to see. What are the things, like each page says 3 things I'm grateful for, I will let go of, weekly wish list, and that's for the week. So these are things that, I'm not good at writing down every day what I'm grateful for, but I could think about it over a week's time. But then I feel like I didn't leave anything blank. Does that make sense? I feel like I did what you asked of me. I want to be a good student of the Perfect Planner. So let's take a break and we'll talk more. We're talking with Cheri Kuhn, and she is the creator of the Perfect Planner. And, it just might be the Perfect Planner because I've had a lot of them. And this one actually makes me want to get out my pencil, not my pen, because I write in pencil and get to work. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about it. We're back talking with Cheri Kuhn, the creator of the Perfect Planner. I'm going to jump right in here because we only have 9 minutes left, and I want to get to whatever it is you think is important. As I've been reading through this, I think I have my priorities set, but tell me let's talk about a few more key points of the planner.
Thank you, Lisa. So after we got through that whole brainstorming, we turn the page and there's this let's make it real. And here's just where, and there's directions in here, and again, videos, where we start to take those big, larger than life ideas, and we start to reverse engineer our life from where we want to go and create a path from where we are now so that we can get there. And on that, the let's make it real, we set our sights on what Jim Collins calls a BHAG, our big, hairy, and audacious goal, that big, long-term range plan out there. And if that's what we want our life to be like in 10 years or 8 years, whatever we chose, then what needs to happen in the next 3? Let's paint a picture of what our world looks like 3 years from now. And if we want our life to look like this in 3 years, well, what do we need to accomplish this year to set us on a course to make that done? And you will see throughout here, I'm always pushing for less is more, less is more, less is more. You know, what are the 3 to 7 or 4 to 8 most important things you need to get done this year, not the 35 things. Okay, because when everything is important, then nothing is actually important. This isn't a to-do list,
right? It's not a
to-do list. No, these are big things. You know, Jim Collins very wisely once said that if you have more than 3 priorities, then you actually don't have any priorities, right? Everything cannot be important. You will accomplish more by really taking the time up front to figure out what are the most important things. Because if you decide that 15 things are most important this year and you only get 5 of them done, were those the 5 most important things that you should have?
And did you get a chance to allocate the proper amount of time to fully bring this to fruition? Right.
Mm-hmm. You want to set high goals, not impossible goals. We set them to hit them. And, you know, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, I use Google Calendar and well, so do I. Like, you know, we have to have technology in our lives. But there was a study that came out not all that long ago, and I talk about it in the beginning of this, that when you actually write a goal down, when you write things down, you are 42% more likely to actually have them happen. And then you can even increase your odds of success more by bringing in an accountability partner or 2. I have them, right? We meet every quarter. And the reason for that is that when you just are thinking about goals, and typing doesn't have the same impact on your brain that writing does.
Dang it. When I was a kid, I was such a perfectionist with my journal that when I finally got a typewriter, I would type it and then glue it into my, and that's not what you're talking about here.
That is so not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know, when you just think about a goal, only one hemisphere of your brain is actually focused on finding opportunities for that to come true. The moment you put pen or pencil, Lisa, to paper, now you have kicked over, now you've activated both hemispheres of your brain. So it's just more aware of what's out there. You know, you don't even realize how many things we don't see because our brain filters most everything, or we would be in a state of overwhelm all the time. But if something is really important to you and you've got both hemispheres focused on that, you are going to see those opportunities to help make those goals come true for you.
Makes
that
sense.
You would miss otherwise. So that's the science behind that. So from there, then we get into really the genius, and this really comes not just from EOS and from Gino Wickman, but a lot of other people that talk about living in this 90-day world. I think Stephen Covey even talked about this early on. And we use the term setting up these quarterly rocks every quarter. And a rock is just a priority. In EOS, it's a business priority, a 90-day priority. And it comes from, Stephen Covey had this visual of 2 mason jars, and he had rocks, pebbles, sand, and water. Rocks were the really big priorities. The pebbles were kind of the day-to-day tasks, you know, that you need to do. The sand was sort of the interruptions and other parts that are just kind of in your life. And water is just like anything else that kind of gets in the way. And the way most people prioritize and fill that jar is they start with the water, they add the sand, then they put in the pebbles, and then they try to fit in their big important rocks in and around that. It doesn't fit. There's some great actual videos out there with those things to see how that works. But if you start by putting those big rocks in and you prioritize the things that are actually really important, the pebbles will fall in and around that. The sand fits and everything fits in the jar.
It's true. That's good.
And that is the analogy for why we call these rocks. So in that rock setting page, the 3 months from now page that's in the planner, we take looking at that 1 year plan and think, all right, this quarter, what are the most important things I need to get done this quarter that are going to make this happen for me this year? And we have you do some brainstorming, we have you write them smart. And then something we do, because you don't have a leadership team to keep you on track every week like we do in EOS, is I've asked you to map out your rocks. What are some of the steps? Sometimes some of those rocks require a lot of things to get them done, whether that's research, holding meetings, whatever that looks like. I want you to map that out, and then I want you to map out the quarter. Month and week, when do these need to happen? Because if suddenly you get to the 11th week of your 12-week quarter and go, oh, crap, well, and now there's no way you're going to get that done.
Right.
And then I ask you to go ahead and plot that throughout that whole month and over that next quarter inside your planner. And then you get into the month page. It's a pretty typical monthly page. We have a little space over here for you to review what went well, what didn't go well, the most amazing moments of the month. The rock work that you need to accomplish this month is a section down there. Connections and conversations that you need to have, just some other to-dos. A little spot on your page for opportunities and obstacles that might be in your way that month. And then we get into weekly planning. And again, it's set up like you would expect a planner, not lots of spacing to write things in. We have our deep work projects, and I don't want to go into a big long thing about what deep work is, but really it's uninterrupted work time. Every time that we look at our phone or answer the door or get distracted in any way, we get out of that state of flow. If you're working on a book which I know, Lisa, is something that you do, or a big PowerPoint or a spreadsheet, whatever it is that you're doing that requires you to be all in, that 30-second distraction will lose you 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 22 point something minutes of productivity to get back into that state of flow. So you think about how many times that happens throughout your day and how very non-productive but super busy you are.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a light bulb moment for me.
There's a huge amount of research to back this up, and it's hard for us. We all have acquired ADD thanks to our phones, and so we have a very difficult time actually staying focused on one thing. Just try it. Just try to set a timer for 15 minutes and only work on one thing and not allow other things to get in the way. Shut down your tabs.
Good exercise. We only have a minute and a half left.
Oh, okay.
We could have you on the month, to go for it. I do want to mention there's a mission statement in here and some other things.
Yep.
Those are keywords.
And a scorecard, yes.
Yeah.
And lots of reviewing. We review every quarter. We check back in with ourselves to see how we're doing, and hopefully to get to success. That was a fast 9 minutes, Lisa.
I know. Some people come on, they're like, what are you going to ask me? And how much time? That's a long time. I'm like, no, it goes really fast.
It never is.
So we got 1 minute left. Tell me what you want people to know about the planner and what would inspire them to get it and use it.
So it's not just a calendar. So if you're just looking for a calendar, then I recommend that you get a calendar. If you actually really want to start living your best life, right? And you want to do what we have intentional living. You want to live with intent. Then this is an absolutely ideal tool for you. I really have worked hard. My passion is to help people live their best lives, whether it's my leadership teams, my friends, my family, my colleagues. I have tried to put everything in here that will help you to do that. And if you're local and here in Wenatchee, you can even just pick it up and not even have to pay for shipping, although that's only a couple of dollars anyway, and use a code.
I love it. I can't wait to get started with it. I'm so glad to have had this time with you, and also for the viewer to consider it and then also hold it in their hands as well. So thank you for your time. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
Care.
Have a happy new year, everyone.
Thank you.
Do you want to become part of the most dependable brand of vehicles today? Then start looking at Town Toyota. Come drive the best-selling, totally redesigned 2019 RAV4. Come check out the powerful towing performance of the Tundra. It's built for the worksite and the weekend. Forge your own path and seek tougher roads in the Tacoma. Leave no trail left unchallenged. Whatever your vehicle needs, Toyota has a seat for you. Come visit us today.